Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 4 now of the Raindancer podcast. I'm really excited to share this one with you guys. Today's guest is my good friend, Sina Simon. Sina and I met about 3.5 years ago while we were sailing throughout the Bahamas and Panama. And she's one of those people that if you are in her presence, she will make sure that you get the most out of every moment. And while we were sailing throughout the Bahamas, I think that spread a lot throughout our crew. And she was also in the process of starting her own business while we were sailing, which is very difficult to do with all the distractions. So I think that was really impressive. Sina is a lot of things. She's a young entrepreneur. She's a business and life coach. She also hosts retreats all over the world. She hosts her own podcast. She's a website developer. But I think the simplest way to describe what Sina does is she helps people grow. She helps people move further away from the things that are holding them back and closer to the life that they want to live and the person that they want to become. We recorded this podcast back in January, and I just got around to editing it about a week ago. And I remembered how great of a conversation it was. And I think there's something in here that everybody can relate to and learn from. We talked about so many great topics. I don't want to spoil it, so I think we should just get on with it. Just for me and for everyone listening, tell me what it is that you do.
Many things. I really believe that we are the creators, co-creators of our life. I think we have a lot of power in deciding what type of life we get to live, and we have a lot of influence on that design. I always say we're the directors, but also the main character of our movie, of our life. So my work is really working a lot with the subconscious mind on helping you to take your power back and creating from a new space with new beliefs. Because I don't know, probably you've heard that before, but 95% of our actions, behaviors, thoughts or from the subconscious mind, and it's programming. So we're kind of living most of our life in the past, meaning that our tomorrow looks the same like our yesterday because we keep doing the same and our body is just programmed to do what it's used to, right? So getting out of these programs isn't really easy, but we do have the power if we learn how to use and how to work on a subconscious level and reprogram these stories and put more energy and focus into the inner world and into the design, the imagination on where we want to go rather than what is. And I've just become obsessed with this topic. And the more I started to explore it and the more I started realizing, wow, how things start to work if you really just put intention into two visions and that on a consistent base, how things really come true. And so coming back to my work, I'm really passionate about helping people just really recognizing their power that they have, because I feel like we're so lost sometimes in the routines and in our life that we don't even allow ourselves to dream big anymore and really think outside the picture what we've been taught, rather so what do we actually want. So I really help people just recognizing their power and then creating really a life that they're in love with, starting with what's even possible, like really just expanding the possibilities and expanding that vision of what is, yes, available to us. And then from there, working with the subconscious mind with identity shifts and with more like the inner work combined with also actionable steps and strategy on making that happen. So most of my clients, I help them building their own business because I realize most of the people nowadays, or especially the people that work with me, crave a freedom-based life, meaning that a life where you have time to do what you love while also feeling the stability financially. So really building something that you're passionate about so that your work doesn't feel like work anymore, more so feels like you're living an endless vacation. I've done this for myself, and that's why I believe really a lot in this work and that it's possible if we decide that it's possible for us and if we shift our identity and then start learning, taking brave action towards that reality. So it's a combination of mindset and business strategy and coaching that I do with my clients for them to, really think outside the box and create a life that they're in love with.
How did you become so passionate about that, and what sparked all this massive interest in this thing where you've kind of gone all in on this strategy? How did that happen?
Good question. I mean, it's a long journey because it starts like going back on my own story. I lived in Switzerland and I was myself really in this programming in the system. Switzerland is really good with systems. And that's why everything looks just perfect. Like everyone is doing what we're meant to do from a society base, right? So um I just realized really early on I don't feel belonging on where I was and what I was doing. I didn't have joy from that. And I was just every time I went on vacation and coming home, I was feeling that emptiness and I don't belong here and I don't feel happy. And there must be more out there. Like there must be something else that's available. And so whenever I went on vacation, I connected with people. I felt that fulfillment and that truly like that life force energy flowing through me while doing what I love. And then going back into the 9 to 5 job and sitting in an office just for the evening to come back tired, eat, and then go to sleep again or watch Netflix. I was like, this can't be it. So um, I started like traveling was kind of like the first door opener for me to realize how fulfillment and freedom feels like and how I get to feel and how I can feel. And so my first door that I had to open was more travel. So I started with full-time traveling. I saved up for travels around the world by myself. And I started traveling 1 year with the goal of making something new a lifestyle that at the time I didn't knew yet. So it was really trusting in the unknown. And yes, on this path, because I had a belief that there is something more out there, but I couldn't even see it yet, I was getting more and more into the self development space. I was connected more with spiritual people, started learning more about the law of attraction. And The Secret was my first book that I read from Rhonda Rhimes that my mom actually recommended to me. So my mom was actually always trying to push me on that path of believing in what's possible and creating my own reality. But at that time, I was so in the system that I just thought like, oh my
Know
God,
what was
she's living in
possible.
her bubble. Yeah, I was like, okay, that's not realistic. But once I
It's
started traveling, I had the message from my mom, but through other people, through books, through classes, through workshops, through experiences reaffirmed till I realized, wow, this starts to work for myself. And so I had the proof. The moment I started to believe in it, I started to see the proof in my life, obviously, because that's how it is, right? The people who actually believe in it are the ones taking advantage of it and seeing it working for themselves. Where if you don't believe in it, usually that's why you're exactly stuck in the living. So sorry, you wanted to say something.
100%. Oh, I just think it's fascinating how you said you would go on vacation, then you would come back, and it just felt like you weren't coming home or something felt off. And I think a lot of people like us who've spent a lot of time traveling for some reason feel that way. Like there's something more, like that we need to do something more. And I also look at a lot of my friends from back home that I'm still close with that our lives have just gone in complete different directions, that they've been settled for a while, are married, have one kid or multiple kids. And a part of me actually envies them because they've never felt like they needed to go off and like see the world and do all this stuff. And I think they've just been happy. But I just find it, yeah, an interesting topic how some people have this, like, I don't know if it's a just unease about them, or maybe it's just this feeling that they're not like on the right path, that they should be, that they're capable of doing more than because they feel they're capable, that they should actually be taking actions to get the most out of life, when other people just feel completely content with, hey, I have a good job, I have friends around me. And I battle with that a lot too, because I think what I want most is probably just a simple life, a job that I'm fulfilled with, that I can help other people, interact with people, good partner, a good community around me,
Mm.
stay active. And like, it doesn't really need to be all this big stuff, but that's shifted a little bit with age and like perspective. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I love what you say. It's so true. I can relate to that because I also had most of my friend circle, they didn't have that feeling that I had coming back from vacation. Rather so, oh my God, I can't wait to be in my bed again and I can't wait to eat that and that meal again. And they were excited to come home where I was like, I really don't look forward for that. So I think what you
I think
say is
that's a good sign, right? You know, because
yes, and
if you know you're excited to go home, that's a great sign. If you know you're not excited to go
yeah,
home, that's probably a sign indicating you need to make a change.
100%. And I always say, like, for example, my life isn't for everyone and their life isn't for everyone. And if everyone would want to live the same way, the world would be a freaking chaos. So thanks God, I think we all have different missions and different purposes. And maybe some of these people have I don't know if you believe in other lives, but I do believe that we're souls that we come here to evolve and to gain new experiences, to improve and develop. So maybe those
100%.
characters have had the wild years or lots of exploration before, and now it's time to ground and put the roots, and other ones are maybe younger souls that have to explore and learn from the world. So I don't think there is right or wrong, or that everyone is meant to live that life and otherwise they're stuck. I don't believe that people who have that lifestyle and feel happy they're stuck. Rather, so amazing, they're where they're supposed to be. But if we feel like just because we're different than all around us, it's not because we're meant to be part of that box as well. Rather, so I think, yeah, again, like your emotions are always a guidance on what you're meant to do. And I think, again, everyone has its own purpose, its own mission, and what we're here to do, to learn. And so if you're calling and your emotion is either it's a discomfort or it's the excitement, right? That's either a calling or a pushing. So yeah, for me, like that discomfort where I was so strong. And at the same time, the calling for something new and exciting and something tropical was so big that I would probably be by now depressed if I would have stayed. Like the emotion was too strong to not act from it, I felt
What
like.
was the main thing that made you want to leave? I guess that you felt like you made you unhappy there. Was it just because you knew that you had a big passion for the ocean and that you wanted to be closer and somewhere tropical and you were just tired of the winters and yeah.
Mainly sea, seriously. Like I remember I went to Africa by myself for 3 weeks for 1 month to volunteer. And it was on an island, Zanzibar, in winter. So it was like the crazy contrast of me coming from Switzerland. Winter, January is already like a hard time. Everyone starts to get tired of not seeing the sun for so many days. And then I went to Zanzibar, where this island, everyone was the happiest, but at the same time, their lifestyle was so simple. Like the kids that I taught basic English to, they literally had 2 meals a day, which was oatmeal. It was always the same, and at the same time, even if their life was so simple, their happiness level was wow, like 10 times to what I was used to back home, where people seem to have everything, but still it's never enough, right? So that contrast.
Why is that? That blows my mind because that has to be just because of everything that we're exposed to versus everything that they aren't exposed to. That's the only explanation I can think of. Because we watch movies growing up. We now obviously everyone's on social media, YouTube videos. There's all this stuff in our face about what people are accomplishing and what's possible when they are stuck in this kind of bubble, for better or for worse, probably for better, where they're not really comparing themselves to others and they're not seeing what's possible. But is it, if they're happy, then I don't really see what the problem is.
Yeah, it's a good question, but I don't know. I've been talking more about the word of unconditional happiness and conditional happiness. And I really believe like the more we have, the more conditions we put on being happy. I need to have that type of home. I need to have that type of job. I need to have that type of car. And I need to have that type of income in order to be happy, right? It's never enough. And it's like there's so much. And also the pressure from society, like what we're supposed to do.
100%.
So it's like we have to get this condition in order to be happy, where I think where we have really low standards, you grow up with unconditional happiness. It's like no matter what we have, we are happy with what we have and we are grateful for the food. Like the appreciation level is just so much higher. So
It's
but yeah, I
different.
think there's
Yeah.
different influences. Even the sunshine, like let's be honest. Even me, I love my life so much and I live in paradise. But seriously, if I just have 5 weeks of a hurricane passing and not seeing the sun, I start to feel low energy, I start to feel different. So it 100% affects us.
I think it's important to kind of, yeah, listen to all those signs, and some people aren't affected by that as much as others. But yeah, every little thing around you seems to matter. How the colors of everything, how everything's decorated, the first thing you see when you wake up, and that's also something I've kind of come
Mm.
to learn over the last year and a half is like all those little details and what you're exposed to, first thing in the morning, first thing at night, all that stuff really has a lot to do. A lot that a lot of that is influenced, or a lot of influence comes from that on how your day is and how your mood is.
Yeah, at the same time, still taking power. The well, coming back to that, the biggest luxury every human being, no matter the resources, no matter the situation, has is the luxury of choice, right? We always get to choose how we feel. Like at the end, that's the one thing we're always in control of and responsible for is how we feel. Like no matter what's happening in the outside, we can still choose to find a reason, close our eyes and visualize something, a beautiful memory, for example, and we can evoke feelings of happiness. So I think it's also, yeah, a practice to really come back to unconditional happiness. And I remember when I started traveling in the in the first month I started in Thailand, I went to a Vipassana retreat, which is basically 10 days of meditating and not having any social contact, no phones. You have 20 hours of fasting and you meditate from the morning at 4 a.m. in the morning till the evening at 9. And I remember getting there, the standards were I was literally sleeping on a stone bed, kind of with a super thin mattress. It was so uncomfortable. The toilets were just a hole in the floor, and you had to pour also the water. You could shower maybe once every 3 days because there wasn't enough water for all, and you just had to pour it over. Like the simplest
Being on the boat
thing.
is luxury.
Yeah, seriously. And I came there and I realized I was like, oh my god, do I really want to do it? And I called my mom. I was like, I want to do this because I know it's a powerful spiritual practice, even though at the time I wasn't even meditating. Imagine. So I went from not meditating at all to meditating for 10 days straight. But I was like, I don't know if I can do that. Like I'm with a stranger in a room, it's super uncomfortable. I don't know what I'm gonna eat. And so she was like, that's the practice. That's the first lesson, like starting to learn how to be happy from within and no matter what's around you. And that made such a click of me, like, okay, I'm coming back to the choice. I'm doing this while looking for all the reasons to be happy no matter what's surrounding, even if it might be challenging at some point. So
Yeah, 100%.
yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who's stuck in life, but just feels like they're, like we were talking about earlier, feels like they're kind of meant for something more, but is just having trouble taking action and they're just stuck in a rut?
Yes. Um I believe there's two main reasons why we stay stuck. And one is either we don't know what we want, so we just know we're not at the right place, but also we don't know what feels right. Um, so there, I think it's starting to connect with yourself, doing things that help you to connect with joy. Like I believe whenever we're happy, we're connected to source energy. So whenever you do the things you love, that's when clarity and creativity comes, and that's where we have these callings and these answers coming from within. Like, that feels right, and then starting to learn how to listen to your intuition to take steps towards that. But I think really starting to maybe with a guided visualization about creating your dream life. Like there's many amazing tools nowadays that help you to just start to explore and dream what do we even want in life. And it comes back to practices like what are your top 5 favorite movies and why. Like my top movie, for example, was Into the Blue, Mavericks, and
We had that in common.
all ocean movies. I was like, huh, I want to live how they live in this movie. So there is many practices, or even what you loved as a child, and just many easy questions and practices you can do to gain clarity. I think clarity is step number 1, so that you even have a guidance on, okay, if I'm going to move because I feel uncomfortable where I am, I have to have some kind of direction, because otherwise I'm just going to go in circles because I feel like,
You
yeah,
have to have a plan.
exactly. And the other thing, if you have clarity but still you're stuck and not taking action, then that's
You're
usually
scared.
connected to your yes. fears, the intellectual fear, all the crazy stories, the self-doubt, I'm not capable of making it happen. What if I'm going to fail? What if I'm going to be judged? So it's like all these crazy beliefs we've created over years, which those beliefs are not even ours, right? They're taken from other people or from some experiences we had oftentimes in childhood. So I think if you feel stuck, like it feels calling and you're so uncomfortable where you are and you kind of are even frustrated with yourself being at the same place for years and not moving, then it's time to work on your belief system and just like recognizing like here also it comes back. There's so many practices online, right? That you can find just how to recognize your limiting beliefs, how to work through that, but also starting to listen to your body, like really just taking the time, closing your eyes, thinking of what you want, and then listening to your body. What kind of resistance is coming up? Do you feel any tension? Do you feel any stuck, like discomfort? Do you feel headache? Do you feel pressure on your shoulders? What is coming up on your body? And your body, usually, that's like the language of your subconscious mind is talking through your body. So yes. And so it's on you to listen to your body and listen to these little doubts and crazy thoughts coming up. It also helps writing them down and then coming back, okay, what is this connected to? Maybe what could be a root cause? Did I learn this from someone else? Did this had to do with my parents or what I learned from them? Um yeah, it's like
How much do you
exploring
think?
to
Yeah.
reprogram. Hmm.
Speaking of that, like how much do you think for someone who is stuck and feels like they want something more, wants to change, how much do you think the people around them make a difference in them deciding whether they want to take the leap or not? And that, yeah, just everything that everyone that they spend time with.
Oh, I love them. So important, yes. They say like you're basically a reflection of the five closest person around you. And
For sure.
100% I believe so. Like whenever I
Yeah.
shift the surrounding, it's when I shift the most. Like your
Yeah.
identity shift is so related to what you see as possible for others. So I love that you mentioned that because yes, once you have clarity on what you want to do, connect with people who are already doing so.
Yeah.
And
And it's hard because I feel like you need to distance, even though some of these people might be really good friends, you actually need to distance yourself a little bit from them if they're not kind of seeing the world the same way that you are. It's a tricky and sad thing, especially if you're like really loyal friend. You got all these memories, and I think it's okay to keep people in your life. You know, I don't think you necessarily have to like completely get rid of friends, for example, that aren't on the same path, but I think you have to like primarily surround yourself with people that are, yeah, I guess have the same values as you, beliefs as you, or want that are doing the things right now that you already want to be doing, that have the habits that you want to create.
100%. And I think like there's people we deeply love, like our family and friends, and may not share the same values or they don't believe in your vision. And that's really difficult. And so, it's not about, okay, I'm just going to cut you off my life. Obviously, not because there is love and connection. Rather, so just don't talk with them about your dreams. If you feel like they're not going to fill you with energy and believing in yourself and in this capacity, rather just don't mention it and have them watch rather than
Yeah,
trying to explain.
it's hard. I find yeah, it's hard to find the right friends that you can kind of just talk to like anything about. I was trying to count those the other day, and it's very few, and I think you kinda almost have to recognize, like, what you get out of the different friend groups, and then kind of focus on that and not really expect much more out of that, but, like, oh, if this one friend, like, we don't really talk about anything personal or anything deep, but, like, oh, it's really fun to go, play pickleball with them or whatever. Like, okay, we'll just stick to that. I'm not gonna do anything else. Like, oh, I have my friend Simon, like, last year when I came home after sailing and selling the boat in Fiji and this whole identity crisis that I have. I talked with him on the phone every single day
Wow.
for probably a month and a half. And he's just like, just call me every day. I don't care how long it takes. And I don't think I've ever, yeah, it's just people like that are really rare, but they're important. And most of the time, I just kept repeating the same thing over and over again. It's like one day we're gonna get over this. But yeah, I find that it's
Mm.
just difficult. A lot of my friends from home aren't, for some reason, we just don't like talk about that stuff. So a lot of the friends I've met traveling and that I guess have we've met in the places because for similar reasons, they seem to be the people that yeah, I can pretty much talk to about anything.
Yes, I totally agree. I mean, as we evolve, our connections, yes, evolve, or as you say, like also naturally fall off sometimes.
Yeah,
It's
for
part,
sure.
but I think it's about, yeah, like not judging others or taking it personal, rather so just accepting people for what they are and what you get to share and then focusing on that. And again, appreciating the ones that you have this deep conversation that you can 100% count on. That's the ones that you nourish, right?
For sure. Yep.
Mm.
Um I'm sure there's a lot of people that you work with that probably you're coaching them and you are obviously doing the best you can for them to change, but I feel like not necessarily change, but just to improve their lives. And I feel like I everybody probably has some type of intuition on whether they think someone's actually like ready to change and ready to make the leap or not. And sometimes you can't help anyone unless they're quite ready to help themselves. And that's like something I've thought of a lot lately. I have some other people in my life that I've tried helping and family, friends that no matter what you do, it just doesn't seem like they're ready to change. What are some based on like what you've seen with people you've worked with, what are the things that are holding people back the most for like taking that next step?
Well, first of all, like when talking about clients, like my clients come to me because they are ready. Like the moment you invest in yourself and you actually invest your time, your energy, your money into choosing to change, you subconsciously already like shift the belief on we're going to change. Like that's the subconscious mind loves orders. And the moment we act on it, action is so much more powerful than words, right? Like they actually are an embodiment of what we believe. So the choice of getting coaching oftentimes already makes a difference. So I gotta honestly say, like the people I got to work with so far, um, from the I always see their best version and I see all the potential. Of course, it can take longer or slower. Yes, but when I see like rather so than clients, but in general, what you're saying, I totally get your question. Or yes, like of course I want to have the change, but somehow there's no movement, and we just keep falling back. Like this pattern. Oftentimes we have these upper limit problems, which are like the ceilings we have. So you can imagine like having a thermostat of the level of happiness, abundance, health that you allow yourself to receive or to have or to feel. And so the moment we go over that, if we feel more loved than we're used to, somehow you subconsciously sabotage, do something bad, or don't take it serious, or I don't know, find a way to get back to the same level of feeling loved. The same with wealth, right? That's a really common pattern as well. Like you have that amount of money that you allow yourself to receive, that amount of wealth and stability that feels like, okay, this is what I deserve. And all of a sudden you have a peak, but then somehow invoices come in or you choose to purchase something that you don't really need and you bring it back to the same level because you have like that inner thermostat
That's your
that's like your
comfort zone.
ceiling. Exactly. Like it's just what you believe, like that's my standard. So that's so fascinating about the work on working with the subconscious and these programs because we get to push these ceilings up, right? It's a consistent process of constantly learning how to allow ourselves to receive more. So at the end, um, everything is connected to self-worth. The more we allow, the more worthy we feel and good enough and deserving of receiving, of feeling good, of feeling loved, the more we can push that ceiling up, and the more is this a reflection in the outside. So oftentimes, what like coming to answering your question, the reason why people are stuck oftentimes comes really because they don't feel worthy of being happier than what they are right now. So it's first working on really like believing that they are capable and deserving and good enough to get some. So coming through these old stories, which can be
Yeah.
from childhood
Yeah,
experiences.
I see that. I'm trying to look at that in a logistical way of basically another way I guess you can say that is um people not having the right imagination on what they're capable of accomplishing, and then also just them maybe thinking like, oh, I'm not smart enough, or I'm not good enough, or I
Mm,
can't actually learn the new thing, when the biggest issue is really that they believe that they can't, that they're actually not smart enough, or that they can't learn the new thing, that
exactly.
they, once they get over that hump of actually believing that. But I also think there's this thing about, yeah, like positive affirmations and, self-love that is important and good, but there's definitely a component of that that's like, that comes from actual results and like what you actually do on a day-to-day basis that drives your confidence, because you can't really just be this really confident person if you don't really have anything to back it up.
100%.
It doesn't
Yes.
matter, even to yourself is really, it matters the most to yourself whether you're confident. It doesn't necessarily matter as much around other people, although there's lots of benefits to that. But at the end of the day, whether you're faking it or not, or you think you're trying to be someone you're not. And there's imposter syndrome, imposter syndrome, but there's also like, you can have all the self-worth you want if you know that every single day you're actually doing everything that you possibly can to you're putting in the
It takes
work
work,
to get to
yes.
that point. But if you're not, it's very difficult. Like, I don't think the whole positive affirmation self-worth thing is tough, is really works, at least for me. I think in order for me to
Mm.
feel that way, I need to know that every single day I'm not wasting time. I'm not like just sitting there doom scrolling. I'm optimizing my day, all the minutes and all the time in my day, because if not, I feel like I'm kind of wasting it.
100%. No, it takes embodiment in action. So, one thing is realizing what is currently keeping me stuck. What belief do I have? Then recognizing the belief, reprogramming. And now, in order to program a new belief, it's not like, oh, now I am doing the mantras, as you just say. Like, that's not going to shift. You have to actually embody the new version and take action. So, I
For sure.
always say also, when it comes to confidence, the shortcut of building confidence is doing what you're scared of, is doing what you avoid the most. That's when
Exactly.
you right away get confidence.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I had to learn this too. Like coming back to, I was seriously so freaking shy and introvert and always looking to avoid, yeah, being
Conflict.
seen when I
Yeah.
was, yeah, always in the background, seriously. And so when I was actually started to travel, people were like, "What, Sina alone? Like, what the heck? People can't even hear her when she tries to speak because my voice was like whispering all the time." Um, and last year, for example, for the first time I went on stage for my dance competition. I was hell no, was I ready? Like I was so freaking scared. I was shaking. I was sweating. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna fall. I'm gonna. But then I came back to yes, practices help. I did. I remember I did EFT tapping. I was just like, I'm just gonna enjoy this. I'm just gonna own this stage because this is gonna be the identity shift that's gonna change it all. Like,
Yep, for
I
sure.
just knew, and again coming back to the choice, like we can
But you had
shift our
practiced a lot for
identity
that.
when we want to. Yes, of course, as well. But it was 3 weeks before that I chose that I'm going to compete. It was not like I practiced for a year, you know. It was still um but yeah, it was the best experience ever. And it did an identity shift. Like it shifted something inside because my embodiment, my action was aligned with that new belief. So it's not just me saying, oh, I'm becoming more confident every day and I'm feeling more confident and I'm a good dancer
Yeah.
and I feel sensual. Like, no, I actually took it to the embodiment, to
Yep.
taking a brave action related to the belief. And that's like when we do a pattern interrupt, we say so. Like when we shift the pathway of really doing something we've never done before, that's embodying the new belief we want to believe. Like that's the shortcut of actually anchoring these beliefs. Because if we
And
just say so, yeah,
yeah, I think it's okay to like feel uncomfortable during those moments. Like,
of
it's
course.
it's natural, and that you may think like, "Oh, I ended up doing the thing, but I did it, but it didn't feel good at all, and I was so scared." But at the end of the day, you still did it. And most of the time when people do these things, they feel those things. So it's like overcoming that fear of actually doing it makes you the type of person that does that.
Yes, because in this moment, you literally take action from a future identity. Like you shift the timelines because you're not taking action from your current and from your known self and the old patterns that your subconscious is programmed used to. Rather, so it's like, holy moly, this is something we've never done before. So now you tap into an identity from the future that you visualize so far only, but now you actually tapped into that vision, and that's when the shift happens. That's
Yeah.
when we really have an identity shift that's going to align the new reality to it, right?
I So yeah, when we first met, for those who don't know, or this will be, I'll put an intro to this anyway, but we first met
Yes.
while we were sailing throughout the Bahamas, and then you joined the boat, and you everybody was doing their own thing on board, but you were big into manifesting. It was really the first time that I was kind of like exposed to that. I also remember you had your what's the thing called when you like hit it
The
and
sound bowl,
yeah, the sound bowl.
calling in dolphins.
Oh, I love that thing. And there was like the dolphins are swimming around the boat and you're like on the bow hitting the sound bowl, like trying to get the dolphins to come. And I was
Hey, they
like
did came. They
I
did.
was like, hey, they're not gonna come. I think they came once and the other time. But whatever. It was just it was the first time I was introduced to that whole like really concept of manifesting. Honestly, I never really thought about it much. I probably didn't even know honest what it was. And then this
Mm,
past year, I think there's a lot of ways that can like that can I guess happen. It doesn't necessarily, you don't have to use the word, but for example, for me, in the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, I wrote more stuff down. I wrote all my goals out for 2024, like first by them every month, and then I broke that down into every week. And I tried to be as specific as I possibly could, even about like numbers with like getting jobs with work or having this like certification by this day and then like moving it here and making this amount of money. And I wrote it all down and it absolutely blew my mind, but it like pretty much every single thing on there actually happened. And sometimes it would be
oh,
even to the day when I was getting my first jobs as a marine surveyor. It was like, okay, I wrote down like I'm supposed to do like 2 surveys this week, and I'm still. This was like right after I got my certification. Like haven't done one. All of a sudden, like somehow I get 2 calls, and
wow.
and I start doing work,
I
and
love it.
basically every goal that I wrote down hit. So that's kind of when it started to hit me. I'm like, man, this is kind of, could this actually be working? And then there's this Jim Carrey quote I love. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I think
Mm,
he's giving a graduation speech, and he talks about how like he didn't have money when he was a kid and he really wanted this bicycle, and he like wrote a note or something,
mhm.
and somehow magically like a bicycle showed up at his door that somebody had like donated it to him. And ever since then, he has the mantra that um it's a that basically, your goals and like kind of what you want in life, in a way, is about letting the universe know what you want, putting in the work, and then not worrying about how it comes to pass.
I love it. Yes.
So that's kind of how it worked in the journal. And that's like the method, I guess, that I've been using. And I did the same thing now for 2025. And that's so far this month. It's all also, it just
Wow.
keeps happening. I'm scared to like write a really big goal on there because I don't know if that'll happen. But tell me like what's your definition of manifesting?
Well, I think you explained it perfectly.
Yeah.
I think, yes, it's putting out an intention, knowing what you want. And then, again, like it takes also work to just putting energy in there, right? But there is a really thin line between being in the energy of the intention and of what you want and being in the energy of the lack of it. So, what you said is really interesting because you said, okay, I'm scared of putting big goals because I don't know if that's going to come. So, if it's going to come or not, that's based on if you believe it's possible. So again, it comes back. So if I say, okay, in the next 24 hours, I'm going to manifest $5, totally possible. You can find it on the floor. Someone might give it to you. You might sing a song for some, I don't know. Like there's many ways that can happen, right? I was like, okay, it's possible. And then you see it happen. Where if you say, okay, by tomorrow, I'm going to manifest $1 million, there your subconscious mind is like, it's so much harder to put your
Yeah, for
belief
sure. It's so much
behind
harder to
that.
actually have that belief and have
Exactly.
that
It's like
energy.
there's just so much resistance about that opportunity and possibility. Like, what the heck? Like, no. So
You're
there's so much
even right when you
resistance
write it
happening
down, you're like,
until
"That's not gonna happen."
exactly. So your energy is on the lack of it. It's like it's not here, it's not here, it's not here. So that's why I think what's the hard thing about people who don't believe in manifestation and that they can actually attract things. It's because they probably go from one to the other extreme, or they don't believe it's possible. Again, like you need to believe it's actually possible. So I think I always love starting with my clients if they're not that used to that, like starting with micro manifestation. Manifest this week a free coffee, see what's going to happen. And kind of like going on it with curiosity and excitement. But what do you say? Like, then let go of it. Like, you're not going to control how it's going to come. You're just focusing on the what, but then how it's going to be
Yeah.
taken
But
care of.
also like putting in taking the right steps to work towards that, and like to be open to that
Yes.
actually
I
happening.
mean, if you just stay in your room meditating, you're not
Nothing's
going to get a
yeah.
chance to get a coffee, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, 100%. It takes inspired action. So there is also, so again, coming into the resistance, what's common that it doesn't work for people is because we want to make it, we want to control how it's going to happen. So it's like, okay, I'm going to reach out to so many people. I'm going to do this and this and this and this in order to manifest it. But that's not how it works. It's about, I'm in the energy. I'm going to become a match for the desired outcome, meaning I already tap into the feeling and the gratitude of how I already have it. And then from that, the inspired action comes. From that idea and the gut feeling of, I want to walk into this coffee store and then talk to a stranger telling him, hey, I love your watch. And then this person like, hey, let me invite you to coffee. you know, um, I mean, that's just
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
random example, but it's
for
literally
sure.
like the inspired action comes from you just tapping into the energy. How would it feel if I would
Yeah.
actually make that amount of money? How would it feel if I just meet the love of my life this year? How would it feel if I would tell my mom, "Hey, I want to introduce you to my future wife"?
Yeah, for
How would
sure.
it feel that knowing? And then from that, it's gonna be the inspired action of, I want to go to that event today, or I'm gonna open that application, whatever is gonna happen.
Speaking
So,
of future wives and meeting the love of your life, I know that you've now, I think, been in a good relationship for the last 2 years, and I think before that you struggled to get out of some bad ones and had some ups and downs. What have you learned about relationships over the last couple years, or few years, I guess?
mm.
Is there anything you've learned that maybe,
I mean, when it comes to
and you don't
attracting,
have to actually say any of this too, by the way,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because there
No,
might be
I
some
like
stuff in
this.
there that's not
See,
appropriate.
I think when it comes to it, like what I've learned to attracting a partner is, I I mean, I met Jimmy, for example, the moment I was so freaking focusing only on myself and so happy with what is and not looking for anything in the outside. But at the same time, let me tell you, I did had a letter. I had like a A4 paper on, this is what I'm ready for. This is the man I want. Like, this is his values,
Yeah.
his look, his way of communication, his love languages, his passions. Like, this is important to me. The way he communicates. Like, I wrote down many details about what I want in a man and what I'm ready for. And that was basically just like, here it is again, what we just said. Like,
Hmm.
the intention and what I want is there, but I'm not going to look for it. Like, I'm now focusing on myself. And I was really, yeah, in a phase where I was not looking at all for someone. And 2 weeks after writing the letter, I met Jimmy.
No way.
So, yeah, seriously.
Well, I wrote something like that about a year ago. It hasn't happened yet, but maybe at some point.
I
It
love it.
wasn't four
Yeah.
pages, I can tell you that. Um, that's really interesting. Do you know who Matthew Hussey is?
It sounds, but no, I don't.
He's like this guy relationship coach. He's really well spoken, lives in the UK, but he has like something that he says that I kind of tried to do like a year ago or so. It was like basically write down, if you're looking for a partner or don't have a partner, and just confused and everything, like write down what it is that you want in a partner, all the qualities, their beliefs, their values, their passions, like do all of that and then become everything on that,
100%, yes.
which is something that helped me, I guess, just guide me a little bit into like where exactly I want to go in life and like who I want to be, because there most of those things I was already at, but there's some stuff that I needed to get straightened out a little bit. And I think that's just great great advice. And regardless of whether it materializes into actually you meeting someone, I think it's a good just compass and a good guide.
See, and in everything in life, it's always like, how can I become the vibrational match to being manifested from that, from
100%.
that reality. So for me, it was the same. That's why I was focused on myself. I was like, okay, I know what I want. Now, how do I become a match for that? How do I become the woman that this man is manifesting, basically, and
Do
working
you
on
think
that?
there's any part of you that was more ready now? I'm interested in this like whole concept of, yeah, people when they get through different stages of life. Like after every relationship, you should, in theory, like learn something. I think they can be big teachers, and you gain something out of it, and hopefully improve on some of those things on the next one. And I always wonder if someone at some point, like you meet someone, you get married, but if maybe you would have met the person that you dated 10 years ago at the same time, if things would have been different. Like, do you have any do you think there's anyone maybe you were with when you were younger that if you would have met at a later stage in your life that you were more ready at this point or that you had learned more, or do you think it's they just weren't the right people?
I mean, I just believe like I'm open for what's meant to like I think there is just divine, constellation happening. If something it can happen the way you say, like if someone is meant to be together but they have to do the work and they come back together later, I totally believe that happens for people and that's possible. But also I think if it's not happening then it's for the reason too. Like I
Yeah,
think oftentimes, people come into your life as a mirror. They need to show you what you need to work on. And And I think every relationship at the end is like we're here to support each other to become the best version of ourselves, right? So
100%.
I believe everyone comes into our life for a reason to teach us something, not to hurt us, not to, yeah, make us feel a certain way, rather. So, like, it's about what we need to learn about ourselves
Yeah,
next
I
to
think
this
you have to have
person.
that mentality for it, like kind of just in general have that mentality, not
Mm,
just relationships and everything. Like everything that happens is a opportunity to learn. Um, if
100%.
you can't get too caught up in the whole victim thing, but you don't learn from your successes. Obviously, you learn from your failures, and it's really interesting when they happen because you can actually really dissect them and it becomes very obvious on what you should work on.
So much. I mean, also in relationship, but also breakups. Both of them are accelerator of self development,
For
seriously.
sure. Yeah, yeah. They can be very good things, and
And
they can change your life for the
yeah,
better. They can be really good things. Yeah,
it's yes. And I always joke with Jimmy because so we are both entrepreneurs, meaning we both work from home. So we spent and also we decided to live together just to share costs, to travel together, like with our lifestyle. It just made sense. So literally after 2 weeks of spending together and dating and also in between weeks of writing, we right away moved in together.
after 2 weeks.
Um I mean, so we met 1 week
I mean, I like it.
and
Just
we
go for it.
yes, we
No
met
judgment.
1 week. No. We met 1 week and then we were basically each was living their own life for 1.5 months, but we stayed in contact every single day. And then we were having a call. We're like, okay, we need to see us again. Like there's something special. I don't know.
Yeah,
Let's explore this further. So we met again in another state in Mexico. And that's when we said like, okay, like our visions are aligned. We both put the cards on the table and being like, okay, this is where we want to go. We really believe we can help each other to reach our goals and we have
that's
really
great.
aligned vision. So that's when we literally just decided like, hey, it feels right. Let's just give it a try, right? And that was just the second week we spent in person together, basically already taking that decision. But it was really magical. I'm not going into details, but it's a
Yeah,
really beautiful story. Anyways, afterwards, we already knew. Okay, I was living in Baja at the time, and he was living in the Caribbean. So we went back again after another week, just spending together. And then he came to Baja California, planning to just sail for a week with me. And from there, we didn't separate it anymore till today.
wow,
Not planned, but that's how it happened. And so I always say because we both work at home, and it just makes sense. The acceleration, like you get to know each other so freaking quick, like living on a boat, literally, pretty much. And living on a boat is the same, right? So I think 1 year of being together on a boat or as entrepreneurs is like 5 years being together when both are in a corporate job, just seeing each other on the weekends or in the evenings, or, like you get to know each other so quickly. You have to learn about finances together, talk about uncomfortable things,
For
creating
sure.
habits that work for both, like your lifestyle. It's such an accelerator. So,
That's a very quick way to accelerate, and just you'll figure out very soon whether you made the right choice or not.
yes, exactly. 100%.
It's I was just having this conversation with, someone else, Catherine Gonzalez. She wrote a book, and I was doing a podcast with her yesterday about, yeah, how sailing and I guess living with someone in general, sailing especially because 'cause you're in a small space
I mean, that's
and
even more.
you're
Yeah.
yeah, because you're always uncomfortable, and, like, when people are uncomfortable, that's you can't hide anything, you know?
Yeah. You can really find your
Um
space.
so it just magnifies everything, and it's yeah, it's a great way to just like get very close to somebody and bond with them in a way that's very difficult to do if you're dating in a normal scene where, me living back on land now, for example, like trying to go on dates. It's like you go on one date, you see someone like one weekend, and then maybe you like them, and it's like, okay, when are you available again? Everyone's busy, everyone's doing stuff. It's like, okay, maybe next week. And I'm like, I'm just used to living on a boat with someone, and like
Yeah.
and falling in love immediately. Like that's how it's always been, and that's just how and instantly living together. And I almost don't have like the patience now to date. I'm like, this is just way too much. This is way too difficult.
Yes, I imagine. And it's
Yeah.
it's I mean, even also I have the same perspective with like you. So I'm also used to taking things quite quickly based on the lifestyle because of traveling and just okay, let's make things easier.
Yeah.
Um where as you say, like thinking of I don't know, there's even almost a type of fear or discomfort coming up thinking of dating a person not living together and only see each other on the weekends for like a year. It's kind of like what if and then you get to know the person after a year, like truly once you move in together. It's like
Yeah, for sure. Because that's a big everyone moving in together is a big step, and that's when you really figure out something out. So it's almost like, well, we like each other after a few dates. Should we just, or at least
yeah.
do a trip where you're like living with someone constantly? Because that's a big thing, figuring just out how someone lives day to day, and whether they're like, yeah, just so many all the little things about living that are important that you will never
Mm.
know if you're just going on dates and like visiting someone's house. Everyone can like clean their house up and kind of put on a show for
Exactly.
for a day or whatever. But yeah, it's living with someone really brings it all out.
Yeah, on a boat, you know each other on a core level really quickly, which is beautiful. I think it comes
We
back.
know
I
that.
also always say, like, life is way too short to hold back. I think people are afraid to love fully and fall in love quickly. And there's always like this protection shield, right? Because we're afraid to be hurt, we're afraid to take the wrong decision. But I think that's exactly the interesting part. Like, we learn by taking the wrong decisions, we get better by or we accelerate and fast track and quantum leap by taking the right decision that just feel right. So I think that's what life is about. Like I don't know,
100%.
it's like playing Sims, that game where you
Hmm.
create your life.
Yeah.
You just take decisions without overthinking so much. And I think that's like coming back to we make life so complicated and we take it so serious where I think
Yeah.
like love fully, live fully, and if you're gonna be hurt, then you're gonna move through it and you're gonna be even stronger than before. And but yeah, why
Yeah,
holding back and then not really experiencing what it is to truly live fully and love fully and,
for sure. I
you
think we
know, be
definitely
brave.
complicate way too many things these days, and there's so much good information on the internet now. There's Google, and we're just more informed than we've ever been. And it's so easy to access information. And all that's great, but I think it's really easy to get way too involved with that, way too sidetracked with that, and forget that your main guide and compass needs to just be, does this feel good or does not feel good, and like am I laughing with these people, am I not laughing with you, do I feel good about this or
Yes.
not? Even like with I was talking with my mom actually with this about diet, because she's a vegan. She's been vegan forever since she had her thyroid cancer, because she read about all the benefits for that, for anti-inflammatory stuff. But even so, like trying to do all the right things is great, but at some point it'll just drive you absolutely crazy. And it's ignorance is bliss. And I envy some of the people actually that don't have all this information. And I can say the same thing about boats because when I first started on boats, I didn't know shit. And it was like I was a bit overwhelmed, but also I was, hey, nothing's broken. And now I know a lot, obviously, about boats, and it's a big problem because I inspect boats now for a living, and I know that everything that needs to be replaced, I know the standard how everything should be done, so I get on it, and I almost wish that I didn't know anything.
I love that comparison. Yes, totally. Like it's a
Because then
never-ending
there would
story.
be nothing to
We
fix.
can't control. Yes,
Yeah,
there is always something else we can make better and better and better. And
yeah.
yeah,
I do these
yeah, it's so
inspections on
true. I
boats, and
mean,
people are
there's
like, "Oh, I didn't know anything was wrong."
yes, and boats are literally stuck in the marina, never being sailed because they feel like they're never ready and something could break and whatever. And but then that's how they break, right? By not being used. And I think it's such a
Exactly.
beautiful metaphor and so true in
Yeah,
life. It's the same. Like, you freaking evolve and get better and enjoy by getting yourself out there, taking brave decision, listening to your gut feeling rather than trying to control every single outcome and
for sure.
prepare till it's too late.
100%. I wanna ask you about, ayahuasca, if that's okay.
Yes.
I wanna ask you because I know you did it after you left the boat at some point, and I know there's people that have had, like, really good life-changing experiences that have benefited them a lot. There's a lot of, like, research about the mental health benefits. There's benefits and there's evidence that should suggest that it helps with maybe mental disorders, healed trauma, but I've
Mm.
also heard really negative stories and negative experiences, so I wanna get your take on that.
Well, I'm not an expert. I just did it once, but from my perspective, I believe the experience you get is what you need and what you're ready for. So I think it's super important to do ayahuasca not for an escape because then it's gonna feel that way, but going there with the intention and the readiness of I'm open to receive what I need to learn. And so then again, like not resist anything that's coming your way, but trying to really just surrender to it. I think the moment we try to again control and not allowing what needs to happen or trying to hide or trying to not accept what's coming on
Trying to
information,
block
that's when it
something.
gets
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think my experience, it was really all lining up so, yeah, unexpected but perfectly. I remember, yes, I got out off the boat. I went to Medellin. I went there to work and just go to the mountains. I actually didn't plan to do ayahuasca, but I did ask my friend that did some plant medicine there, and I thought, huh, it could be nice to do something on inner work and try some type of plant. I was rather so thinking of mushrooms, so I reached out to the contact she told me, and then he was like, "Well, we would start next weekend or whatever it was at the time with a ayahuasca ceremony. You can join. You just have to prepare. Like we have the ceremony, like I think it was like tomorrow or the day after to prepare, and then 1 week you basically prepare with the diet and also mentally and emotionally for the experience, and then you have the ceremony. So it felt just so aligned and put on my path that I felt like, yeah, I'm ready. I actually feel really called to. I think it's just meant to be this way. Um so the timing felt really perfect. I was at a place in my life when I went actually where I felt really happy and like I started my new job as a coach. I felt so aligned with my purpose. I just came off of a freaking amazing life experience trip on a boat with you guys. Um, so I was just at a really good place, to be honest, at this moment. So I think that has a lot to do too. Like again, where are you when you do the experience? Um, and yes, it is 100% a medicine. So I think
Yeah.
um, physical, mentally, emotionally, again, whatever you need is what you're gonna get. And at this moment, I remember, I don't know if you remember, but before we left Bahamas to cross to Panama, I was cleaning the boat and I got the ear infection. I don't know if you
Yep.
remember. And
I
you had
remember.
some type of antibiotic even on the boat, and I was
Yep.
so in pain. And I was, oh my god, that crossing wasn't easy with that ear pain. And I was taking your pills, but it wasn't working. Once we got to land, I went to a doctor
Yep.
in Bocas del Toro, but then I took some. I think it was like drops or something. It didn't help neither. So when I was in Colombia, which was at this time already almost a month that I couldn't hear on one ear. And I remember in Colombia also right away I went to a specialist then because they didn't have it in Panama. So I had an appointment one day before the ceremony and he gave me another antibiotic and he was like, okay, you can take this because it was really affected at this time. And I couldn't hear, yeah, for a long time already. But for the ceremony, you can't take any medicine. So I knew I can't start taking antibiotica before the ceremony. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start it after the ceremony because at this time I just wanted it to heal. So the interesting part was at this ceremony, it was, wow, an incredible experience. I loved my ayahuasca journey so much. I would recommend it to everyone with the right preparation, with the right shaman, with the right approach. I think it's really important to choose wisely who you do it with and where you do it. And again, at what space and
Yep.
yeah, level you are in when you do so. But my experience, like, I think it was like 8 hours of a trip during the night. And at the end of the trip, I could hear again. So it was
No
full
way.
healing on a physical level. Yeah. So I felt kind of like roots around my ear and this gentle voice and sensation of we're just healing your ear while we do the other work. So yes, just really highlighting it is a medicine. Like whatever I really believe, like it can heal you on, yeah, physical, mentally, emotional level. Yes, I totally believe in its power. And when it comes to like traumas and emotional healing, yes, I believe so as well. It's super powerful. It gives you incredible information and downloads and what you're ready for. But like any other medicine, just like, for example, if you have, I don't know, chronic pain, and then you're gonna get this medicine, but also it says in order to not you have to stop, I don't know, drinking Coke, or you have to stop drinking alcohol, or you have to exercise more, whatever. So if you're gonna take the medicine without doing the improvement and the shift in your habits and how you show up in life, you're gonna get it again, right? So I think the same with ayahuasca, whatever on an emotional or mental level you're healing and you're working through, afterwards it also takes integration work. And I think that's so freaking important. So I think a lot of people, they go there, they have their trip, it's amazing, I'm a new person. And then after a week, they go back to pattern and they are in the same circle again. And it's like, it wasn't a life changing experience, where it can be a freaking life changing experience if you act on the information you receive. And that's where the healing and, yeah, the change really happens, right? The integration work. So for me, it was absolutely beautiful.
It seems like at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that can help you and they can point you in the right direction, but you still need to work at it in order to keep that momentum going.
Yes. I
Yeah.
think there's no magical pill just changing life for you. It's
Yeah.
always it's the information that really, or the click that you need, and that permission slip of, okay, this is possible for me. I get to
For
shift and
sure.
then acting on that. Yes,
Yeah.
100%. But it was seriously unconditional love, deep connection. Yes, I healed in many ways from that experience. So I do, from my own perspective, I do recommend it. I think it's powerful
Great.
and beautiful. Yeah.
We're getting to an hour and 6 minutes. I have a few more questions, but I do want to end it. I want to try and end it soon because I don't want to take too much of your time. And once it starts to get over an hour, I'm kind of like, all right,
Yes.
this is taking a while now. So, um, and if you need to go, I don't know, how are you? Do you have another like 10 minutes or so? Or
Yeah, no worries.
okay. Your energy level is always super high and it's always been like really impressive. You come on the boat, you always have energy and you're probably the most positive person that I've ever met in my life. What are how do you are there any tips or strategies that you use to keep your energy level high, or do you think that you were kind of just born that way and that's in you, or is it part of your routine, little things that you do to keep things going? Or talk to me a little bit about
I First of all, thank you so much. And
that.
second, it takes work. It takes work. I think it's really important to highlight. It's not like, no, you're born as always being happy and I wake up happy every single day. No, it takes work as well. I am in generally a really positive person, yes, and energetically, but I think that at some point it comes natural or is more highlighted because if you love life, like that's life source energy is what's that positivity that yeah, that vital energy within us, right? That comes from loving life and doing doing the things that charges us with energy. So, but also I think it's again like the choice of unconditional happiness. Like I can it's always a shift in perspective. I can wake up and choose to, oh my God, it's rainy. I have so many meetings today that I want to do. And I just got this bill coming in that feels pressured. And I had this discussion with a friend, or like I can focus and always find reasons to be drained as well. But rather, so you make it a practice to always focus and shift to what can I be thankful for? What can I enjoy? What can I do today that makes this a great day? Like I think every single day we have the choice to feel good, but it's a practice on really taking responsibility for that. And the more you do so, the more natural it becomes. And it just nowadays, really, I don't have lots of sad days. I do have them. I am triggered as well. I can be mad and angry and all of that as well, of course. But um I do feel like yeah, it comes easy to me at this point to quickly shift to positive energy again. And again, it's a programming too, right?
Yeah, you've exercised that muscle a lot. It's a strong muscle.
Yes. And
Yeah.
it didn't used to be that way in Switzerland. I can tell you, like that was a shift. By the more I was spending time doing what I love and enjoying life, the easier it became. But still, it takes also actual work, like taking the first hour for yourself in the morning. I think it's so freaking important, especially nowadays with the digital world and so much information around us all the time. If you wake up scrolling on the phone and then getting a wrong message or a negative information, your day is gone. Where rather, so if you focus on, I'm first gonna do when I wake up the things that I know give me energy and that make me feel good. If that's going on a walk on nature, meditating, dancing, doing a workout, whatever activates your energy, choosing to start it this way, it's going to affect yeah, your whole day and at the end your life, right? There is a book called Own Your Day. Um I don't have the name right now.
Yeah,
Marcus, I believe. But it's really good and it talks about like if you own your mornings, you own your life. And I really believe a lot in this concept.
I like that. Yeah, have a similar thing. I have a morning routine that I've been doing for a while that's I stick to, and as long as I stick to it, I find that the rest of my day ends up productive, and then I get to the end of the day and I feel happy about it. So,
Yes, makes such a difference.
there's a lot of everyone always struggles as tough. There's tough decisions that come along in life, obviously, and it's really hard. I think sometimes for people to make those decisions, you go to friends, you go to colleagues. Is there any advice like you would give to somebody who's struggling to make a tough decision on just like where to go internally and what kind of protocol to follow?
Mm, there is one super simple practice that you can do, which is like you standing straight up and you close your eyes and you ask yourself the decision in a yes or no answer, meaning, should I move to this place? Yes or no? Should I break up with this guy or should I stay in this relationship? Yes or no? And your body, again, like usually has the right answer. Your body always knows what's right for you and what feels good. So if your weight is going to the front, it's expansion and it's a yes. Where if your weight is going to the back, it's contraction, which means a no. Now, again, this takes practice too. The more you connect with your body and you learn to listen to your body, the easier it is to actually understand and to
I
sense
like
it.
that.
In the beginning, it might feel like, I don't know, maybe and oftentimes it's like, maybe I'm consciously doing so. But then that's also, if you kind of like try to manipulate the weight, that shares, like that's already the answer there, right? As
For
well. So,
sure. Yeah, I think that when it comes to decisions that we don't need any extra information or expertise from, that we have all the information, I really think that we know inside what the
mm,
right decision is. And it's like, I think it's just having the courage to actually make the decision and then getting quiet around you and being confident with whatever it is. Cause I feel like it's always leaning one way or another. And then there's a reason why you're not doing it. So for me, like what I definitely do is I kind of always I ask myself in a weird way. It's like I have I always say I have like me conscious Rick, and then I have like my
I love that.
logical smart Rick who's like over here on my shoulder, and I can like ask that person, and he's gonna tell me exactly what it should be. And sometimes I just completely ignore him. I'm like, I agree with you. You're totally right, but I'm just going to go ahead and ignore you at this point. But I
Thank
still
you.
know that that other person is there, and I think, yeah, I think that person's always, honestly, pretty much always been right. It's just a matter of like listening to that voice, you know.
I loved, and I also love what you said of like taking the brave action to act on this decision fully, because oftentimes we go back and forth, back and forth. And the reason why we don't take quick decision is because we're afraid to take the wrong decision, rather. So if you choose and practice taking the power and responsibility to make whatever decision you take the right decision, and putting all your energy in making it the right thing and focusing on the best case scenario going that path, then it becomes easier to,
For
yeah,
sure.
to move to, instead of wasting energy going in circles.
Last question. You, with your work, you have to spend a lot of time on social media. I spent almost a full year off of it because I felt like I was very just lost, and I felt like having stuff in my face was very confusing, and it,
Mm.
yeah, just going back to like the kids that you were that I guess you stayed with in Africa that had a very simple life that were happy. And I found that when I got rid of all those distractions, I needed a lot less in order to feel happier. I didn't feel like I needed to like accomplish as much or do as much, or I was just like, okay, I just need to like go to work, have fun, have friends, be happy. And I really struggle with yeah, being on social media. When I got back on, I unfollowed like a lot of people, and I tried to look at it as like, all right, if I'm going to be on, I'm going to be very intentional about this algorithm. I'm going to be very
Mm.
intentional about who pops up on my feed, who are actually my friends, who aren't my friends. But if I had to go one way or another, I would probably say, if I was giving advice to someone, I'd probably say that stay off it, but it can be used for the right people in the right way. But what are your thoughts on that? Because obviously you always have to be on that, and it's a big part, I guess, of your business. But what are
Mm.
your overall thoughts on social media and just, I guess, what it does to people?
Ah, I seriously love what you said. It's 100% true. I think if you use it controlled in a way that you train the algorithm in your favor. So really focusing on a few profiles that you feel like actually give you value and knowledge and make you feel good, and then keep watching them so that Instagram shows you more of that, or whatever platform you use. But if you catch yourself at night, for example, oh my God, 1.5 hours scrolling just went by without even realizing, and just watching, yes, take a detox.
Videos of
um,
cats and dogs or whatever it is,
thanks. I mean, if it makes you happy, it makes you laugh.
Yeah.
That can
There's a
be good.
time period there when it's good to like zone out, but I
Yeah.
think if you waste an hour scrolling, that's probably
Goes
not a
so quick.
good
It's
use of your
crazy,
time.
you know? Yes.
Yeah.
Holy moly. It just, the algorithms get so freaking intelligent. It's, yeah,
It's
it's
scary.
really freaking,
They
see.
get paid a lot of money
I
to figure that
agree.
out.
But it can be, I think, yeah, it comes back to, yeah, to the choice. Like, it can be a really good platform if you use it in your favor.
Yeah. Um, any questions for
See.
me?
Well,
Anything you want to know? Or
what
stuff we can
is
talk about
your,
after?
well, I think because people constantly ask me about how it is to live on a boat, and like that's crazy, and like you're just floating all the time. So I feel like I would love to hear like your main reasons why you love living on a boat,
Well, I don't
or
know
what
if
do
you're
you
gonna
love
like.
about it.
Well, right now I love living on land way more than a boat. So I'll just say that. But that's
Mm.
because I've spent so much of my life living on a boat. And I I always would say that I love the simplicity of living on a boat, even though it's not simple at all. There's always stuff you're doing and always complicated. But I like being in my own bubble. And I like, like when we were sailing, like having your own friends around, like your own crew and your own little family traveling around and like laughing all your own little inside jokes. And I love working on things. I love fixing things. I love traveling, and it all kind of puts it all together. I love nature. So there's, overall, I'd say I like the simplicity of it, and when it's shared with the right people, it can be, yeah, just it's the best lifestyle. But it can be very challenging, and like I said, it's a small space. You can be very uncomfortable, and
Mm.
there's a lot of nights and a lot of times when you're just like, what am I doing? Why did I make this choice to be out here? Where
Mm.
it's rough, or your anchor's dragging in the middle of the night, then you're going to threaten to get blown onto a bunch of rocks and destroy the boat, or like, oh, a whale hits your boat and you're sitting in the middle of a life raft. Like, why did I decide to, choose this lifestyle of sailing? And the reason I've liked living on land so much is because I've just felt, as much as I love sailing, like we were talking about earlier, um, I've realized that not having to work, you're kind of, when you have a boat, you're kind of married to the boat. And no matter what, it's like you always got to be worried about the boat. Boat's always got to be fixed. It's got to be safe. There's storms coming. You got to protect it. When you're on land, you walk out your front door and the boat's right where you left it, always. Your house is never moving. There's never stuff sliding off your counter. And I just feel like in general, it's easier to focus on, I guess, whatever it is, business, relationships, friends, work, when you're just like structured in one spot. And I think one of the harder parts about sailing is that you're constantly on the move and you make these really amazing connections, but chances are that they're not going to last too long and you're going to have to
Mm.
move on and keep going through that cycle. So when I moved back onto land, I realized like I have a lot of great, great people, like you being one of them. There's so many awesome people that I've met over the years sailing, and I wish they were all in one spot. It'd be so cool. And I was like, well,
Mm.
I need to really focus on kind of putting some roots down so that I can really build a community in one spot, because I kind of miss having like that one place to call home where you can just go home and you have all your friends, you go meet up and like everything you need is right there. So I've been kind of on a quest this past year and a half to find that. And I think I found it in Washington and Bellingham, like we were talking about. But
Wow.
yeah,
Amazing. What would you say was your biggest lesson, if I may ask, sailing?
by far the thing I learned the most is, and I probably knew it already, like we were talking about before, you always know these things, but you don't need to sail to the other side of the world. You don't need to sail across the Pacific. You can, chances are wherever you're at is probably a beautiful place and it's good enough, but what makes your experience the best and what makes it stand out above others is the people that you surround yourself with.
Mm.
100%. So that's my biggest thing. My biggest takeaway from all of it is like, I didn't really need to go to the South Pacific. It's beautiful, but I could have stayed local. I could have stayed in the Bahamas with the right people and I was having a great time. And it's just this like constant, yeah, feeling of like chasing something. And I feel like I was also talking with Catherine about this yesterday. What makes the difference between a place being like, oh, this place it was amazing, or this place being like, oh, it was a good place and we'll come back, like it was cool. And that, I think
Mm.
that difference is whoever you meet along the way and whoever you share it with, because you can go into one place and you're like, there's no other boats anchored around, and be like, hey, this is a really pretty spot, it's cool, we had dinner, like saw some wildlife. But then you go back there 3 months later and there's a bunch of other people that are very similar to you. You're anchored, you meet them all, you have a great time, you're rafted up, you go into shore, and it's like, this was the best experience ever. So I think
Ah,
that's why yeah, I think I've just really focused on, yeah, the people. That's the biggest thing I've taken away from it.
I love that.
Yeah,
And it is a strong community, which is so beautiful. I
it
think
is.
sailing community is one of the strongest community I connected with when it comes to acting like family as strangers. Like you don't know people, but because they go through such a similar lifestyle that's so unique and so different, you automatically feel like you're on the same
100%.
wavelength. It's
That's what
so
I love
beautiful.
about it. Like, I love when you're in a place when there's lots of, it's like everyone's looking for these secluded anchorages, and that's great too in doses, but it's also nice to just be around a healthy amount of other people and other boats, because you can just, it's so easy to just hop in your dinghy, you go over to another boat in the morning, you knock on the side of the boat, and you're like instantly friends because you're somehow you guys have made the same
Yeah.
life choices to where you've ended up in the same exact spot at the same time. So
I love
that already says a lot. So that's one of the things I love about sailing. When you're in the right place, the community is by far,
mm,
it's unbeatable. It's awesome. Yeah.
I love it. I mean, you need to be a little bit crazy to choose
100%.
a
You
lifestyle,
need to
right?
be
And
crazy.
then
Yeah. No
They're
one
just
who
such
chooses that
interesting
lifestyle.
freaking people that you meet out there.
Yeah,
It's incredible.
for sure. Even the people that think they're not crazy, they're crazy. 100%.
Exactly.
Like us, we had a bunch of crazy hippies on our boat.
Yeah,
Um,
I love it.
what I guess anything new you're working on now, and I guess how can people, if people want to get coaching, or where can they go to get more of Cena?
Well, I always have all my updates on my website, so it's www.sissi.ch. So that's where you can find all my programs, coaching opportunities, free masterclasses, free manifestation guides and tools, and yeah, podcasts as well, all on there.
Awesome. I'm uh I'm super stoked for you, and congrats on all just everything you've been doing, all your success and everything, and just to see you going from, I guess, like when we were sailing together, you were starting to get your one-on-one clients, and just to see your growth throughout the years. It's been fun to watch, and yeah, congratulations on all that.
Thank you so, so, so much. The same to you. And I can't wait to connect again, wherever it is in the world.